I think the whole country's in on this one at this point. America's team. No longer that. I think just about everybody around the country, around the world for that matter, revels in the misery that's being experienced by the Dallas Cowboys. Certainly, they're insufferable fans that still remain loyal to the organization. They're pretty easy to tangle with at this stage. And in fact, you almost feel like empathetic, sympathetic in some senses. Although no greater pleasure. I don't think that we've had this much pleasure. And I said this the last couple of weeks on the show. I don't think we've had this much pleasure watching anything regarding Dallas since 1978 when Debbie Does Dallas came out. And let's face it, fans, you couldn't get enough of it, especially if you were at a certain age at that time. I mean, all of the bullshit, too, that goes on with the Dallas Cowboys, the sanctimonious Jerry Jones, the gratuitous interviews when they sit out with him at training camp and he's got some stupid looking hat on and he's out there passing judgment and telling everybody how wonderful the team's going to be. Now, to their credit, under Mike McCarthy, who's been on the proverbial Ed Ogeron hot seat, it seems like since he got the job. And he's not the kind of stoic type that you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, I mean, Jerry Jones would never get rid of this guy. He doesn't like to fire coaches because you can see the strings attached, like he's working a marionette, going all the way back to Dave Campo and some of the other stiffs that he employed. He didn't get along that well with Parcells. He flew the coop voluntarily and said, I'm out of here. Jimmy Johnson, of course, who got him a couple of Super Bowls, and then left him with a team that was so good that Barry Switzer could win a Super Bowl with this team. Barry Switzer, the Oklahoma guy. Jimmy Johnson, to this day, when you mention that particular season, will just kind of give you a little bit of a nervous laugh and then go ahead and say, well, you know what? That just goes to show you that, almost anybody can win if they have the right personnel in the National Football League. Yeah, because he did have the right personnel. But all of the other stuff with Jerry, I mean, for the last 25 years, you have to really ask yourself, why the fuck is this guy running the team if you're a Cowboys fan? And we know why he's running the team because he owns it. But maybe it's time to go ahead and denigrate. I mean, just give other people a chance to have a shot to make something happen with that ball club. But ugliness last night. They lose at 34-10. Always with the announcer jinx. This guy Brandon Aubrey never misses, of course. And I was in an unfavorable situation, as I've also mentioned a couple of times. I have this little personal betting operation going with a friend of mine where we just, in a friendly way, bet against each other. He picks all the games. He's such a horrible handicapper. I usually win every year. I think I've paid him once out of 15 years. And he, had handed me the Cowboys. He picks all the games. I get the other side, regardless. No argument, no questions asked. So I'm sitting there looking at the Cowboys, and we talked about it on the show yesterday. And you're asking yourself, how are they only getting 7 points in a game against anybody? They're horrible at home this year. They haven't had a victory at home. They're getting blown out by double digits when they're playing at home. And they got Cooper Rush, who at one time last year came in for Dak Prescott, and you thought, man, maybe this guy isn't half bad. But in spite of the fact that he threw for 354 yards in the game, and I believe had 3 touchdown passes. No, he couldn't have had 3 touchdown passes. He only had 10 points. 354 yards in the game. They ended up losing by 24 points. Aubrey comes out. He misses a field goal. As the announcers are saying, he's going to make it at that point. You sort of have half a prayer that you're going to cover the 7-point spread. But it turned out to be much ado about nothing. It was very Shakespearean in that regard, as couldn't get anything home with the Cowboys after that. And it was a disaster. Lasting image will be, and I forget who the pass rusher was, the Red Sea parts on the Dallas offensive line. And Cooper Rush drops back, not exactly Mr. Mobility, and just gets flattened. I mean, literally planted straight over backwards, as if it was the tipping of the statue of Saddam Hussein, just right off the foundation. And you're saying, there is the picture. They should just etch that in stone, and that would be the ultimate characterization of what happened to the Dallas Cowboys in the 2024 season. Now, if you were betting on the Cowboys and you were only getting 7 points, you probably don't feel too good about that. But nonetheless, if you want to make a comeback, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting. Maybe you could have even edged off during the game when you saw it was going south. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. Largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL, entertainment props, political props. Is Matt Gaetz going to get approved? You could probably bet on that. Head to Bet Online today to get in on all the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. All right, a lot of action to discuss. Hopefully, you fared well during the NFL week. I'm on the precipice, and I'm thinking about making a move that we have been recommending against and laughing at and mocking and denigrating the people who actually do this stuff. I the matchups in the National Football League, and I'm thinking to myself, these are some blatant open mismatches here. We welcome to the show Scotty M, who joins us every Tuesday and is coming off an okay week. I think you went 2-2 on the program last week. You got a little cute, Scotty M, with that Marshall Coastal Carolina over under.
Yeah.
That was one of those games I don't know that I would have looked at, but I didn't see the game, but I saw that it was significantly under the total, or seemed to be, and so that was one of the losses we incurred. But we had some success on other parts of the card. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Defo. At least we have our hair. We didn't have to put the salad bowls on with the Miami Dolphin pick, right? We said,
Yeah, we're going to go with the Mark Davis cut.
yeah, no,
I forgot about that side wager. Yeah, because actually the Raiders were in there with a shot. That was another one of those games I was handed by my buddy here in the head-to-head handicapping or bookmaking operation, and I'm looking at just perusing it, thinking this is an automatic loss. I may as well just send the guy his 5 units because there's no way the Raiders are going to win this straight up. They were in contention to beat the point spread for a while.
Yeah.
Would we? Yeah, we would have had to go ahead then and do it. Who would have performed that for you? The wife, Scotty M.
I don't know if I would have let anyone perform that one. I'll tell you, to be honest. But
He was in the crowd. He looked. This guy's living the dream, though. That's a great business to be in, the inheritance business, isn't it? I mean, and I think he doesn't take himself too seriously either, Mark Davis, because he's just having a great time. I think he's banging a couple of the cheerleaders, or has some hot young girlfriend, and all with this goofy haircut, which shows you that maybe if you're a man that is not afraid to have even what seems like an unflattering distinction of having the worst haircut on the planet, it may be a favorable thing.
well, he was, if they showed him a couple of times when they put him on camera, and he was sitting in the box all by himself. There was no one even in there with him. So I don't know what the deal was there. He was just chilling out.
I saw a piece on him on 60 Minutes. Guy's having a great time, Scotty. The only guy living better than him is you, I believe, because of all of your handicapping success and expertise over the years. All right. So how did you characterize last week's NFL action? It seemed like we were talking about this yesterday a little bit, and I meant this totally facetiously and only as a figure of speech. But if you wanted to kill a kicker, it might have been justifiable homicide after last week. In the pros, it was unreal, these guys that are missing kicks.
Yeah. How about that Sunday night game with Cincinnati coming back all the way like that to tie it up, then having 2 chances to go ahead, and they miss a 48-yarder and a 51-yarder? Unbelievable. I mean, the kickers, Justin Tucker missed the kick again. Very rare for him. He's had an off year, for the stat of his career, obviously being great.
Yes.
Yeah, the kicker is no short thing. It's on these longer field goals. I mean, anything over 45 to 50, no guarantee to get the W. It seemed like the kickers were making them from all over the place. I mean, you see some making them from 58, 59, 60.
The distance has never been better for kickers.
It's tough.
Remember when Tom Dempsey kicked that, what was that, 63-yarder for the Saints many years ago to set the record? That stood for a long time. I think he had a cement block installed there and attached to what partial foot he had left, because it was unfathomable that a guy would even attempt one from 60 plus back then. And now, I don't know that 60 plus is routine, but certainly 50 is. This guy, Brandon Aubrey, was kicking for the Cowboys last night. He managed to knock one through from 50 plus. He missed one uncharacteristically from 40 when his plant foot slipped and came out from underneath him. So maybe you can excuse that away. It was a rarity. And he had the announcer jinx there where, they had just finished saying, hey, this guy never misses. So doink, there it was.
Yeah,
but these are killers for those of us that are laying points in these games or even taking points, because Yeah, you want to see those 3 points on the board. I was cringing when McCarthy at the time. It was still in doubt whether or not the Cowboys would be able to cover the 7 point or take advantage of the 7 points they were being accorded. And you're thinking, no, don't take the points off the board because I know what's going to happen. Sure enough, the guy's going to get another attempt and miss it. He didn't. They go for a fourth down instead, and you end up with nothing. And instead of being inside the 7 points at that stage of the game, now all of a sudden you're out of it, and the whole dynamic of the game changes also. So
Yeah,
these are rough spots.
it seems like they do that more often. If you noticed, they're going for these fourth and shorts, 4th and 2, 4th and 3,
Yes.
instead of going for the field goals. Deep in territories, even like inside the 30. You're seeing them going for it instead of kicking that field goal. I guess the mentality is, hey, let's go for it instead of maybe missing the 3. Let's try to go for the 7 and get the extra points. But I've seen that a lot more. It seems like this year more so than any other time before, where they're going for these fourth and shorts. A lot of these coaches are going for it, especially it seems like early in the game and stuff like that too, because they figure, well, if we miss it, so be it. We still got plenty of time left, to turn the game around and things like that. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. Seeing a lot of fourth and shorts. And it's coming back to haunt you. Those are the crazy things because late in the game, even like the Buffalo game the other day, 4th and 2, they don't go for the field goal to go up 5. They go for it, and if they get stopped, now you give them the ball back with like 2 minutes left or whatever it was, a minute and 45 seconds left, and they can drive down and kick a field goal to win it. So that was a gutsy call on that play there with Buffalo, because if they don't convert that, it's only a 2-point game. You got Mahomes, who's probably the best in the world, to driving a team down, and they could have lost that game. So it's one of those things that come back to haunt you, or you're a hero.
Yeah, I really despised it when coaches were so overwhelmingly conservative. I mean, you can see Tom Landry adjusting his tie as he sends the field goal unit out there for the Dallas Cowboys, even though they were in a position to put the game away by scoring a touchdown. Shula would do it. Of course, the classic example was with the Miami Dolphins many years ago when Tony Sperano was coaching the team, and almost always preferred and opted to go for field goals in spots where you were screaming, "Go for it, for fucking God's sake!" Yeah,
Well, Jimmy,
I don't mind the switch, but maybe it has gotten, especially with all the money that's riding on these games now, with everybody in their grandchildren are all betting money on these ball games. But it does seem like that 3 point dynamic is being they're abdicating the chance to go for the field goal, and a lot of times to the detriment of the bettors, because
well,
the 3 points.
even in college football, Defo, you see them going for fourth and even long, like 7 and 8.
Yeah.
They're going instead of going for a field goal because they know their kickers are 50-50 at best. That if they're inside the 30, that's still a 45 to 47-yard field goal, 48-yard field goal. So I've seen a lot of these teams now going 4th and 6, 4th and 7, 4th and 8 inside around the 30 because they figured their kicker probably 50-50 of making it at best. So they'd rather, obviously go for it than have a missed field goal and give the other team position on their 35-yard line.
The Cowboys somewhere, what do they have, 6 games left? They'll probably cover a spread somewhere during that span. But are they not at this point just an automatic bet against? They look absolutely dreadful. And you could say the same thing about a couple of other teams. Jacksonville has fallen into that category. The Carolina Panthers have been there pretty much all year, although they showed a couple of signs of life there in consecutive weeks, and I think covered a point spread, actually won a game. So maybe that
you could throw the Jets in that pile too, because the Jets are a great bet against. I mean, they keep making them favorites and they keep losing. Even last week, they found a way to lose that game in the last seconds of the game. It's amazing how the Jets cannot, when they're a favorite, find a way to win a game.
It was a mixed bag, too, of results in the NFL. I was handed, as I said, in this little venture I've been talking about with my buddy Francesco. I mean, the shittiest games that you could possibly have. Like, you would never bet on these games and take the side that I was presented with. And still, it ended up being 6-4. So the chalk wasn't necessarily overwhelming this past week. Although I'm looking at and the week starts 2 nights from today. With the Steelers and the Browns. Steelers are only favored by 3.5 on the road in that ball game. Kind of curious. But I'm looking at the next several games that I have here on the slate of games, Scotty M. I'm thinking about.
Yes.
Please talk me off this ledge before I go ahead and do this because I'm thinking about doing it today. Because we've been talking about these weird things. Troy West introduced me to it, and you said that you've also dabbled in this a little bit, where you bet like a money line parlay on all solid chalk teams,
Right.
and you'll have like 5 or 6 of them, and you're getting a pretty good price on that if you hit them all.
Right.
I'm thinking about doing that with like 9 teams in the National Football League this week.
I
How
don't know
insane is
about that one. I don't know about that one, Defo. I wouldn't be recommend trying to go 9-0 to cash your ticket.
money line only? No point spread.
No
Okay,
point.
piling
Yeah,
them on
I
for a
mean,
small amount of money. Yeah, you're immediately saying, "Stop it! You're a fool." I mean, are you sending people to my house for an intervention? Maybe that would be the way to approach this.
I'm not a big fan of playing these big 5, 6, 7 leg
Me either.
parlays.
We scream about it every day about how foolish it is.
Yeah,
How this is how FanDuel and DraftKings have taken over the world. Never mind Donald Trump. FanDuel will be running this country if
I
they
noticed
aren't already.
noticed a lot of younger players are into that stuff. The kids coming in,
They love it.
the 21s, the 22, the 25-year-olds. They
Sure,
love these parlays. They love these 3-legger, 4-legger, 5-legger money line parlays because they're looking at it from the standpoint, take away all the points, just make them straight up games, and it's easy to hit them. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. If it was so easy, they wouldn't be offering them. Why do you think they give you the extra odds? They're not stupid. They're
sure.
making it. They're making it. They're putting it out there for you to try to beat them, and it's very hard to consistently beat them. Yeah, you'll win one every here and there, but in the long run, you're going to get back probably all the money and then some. Just continuing to do that.
It's insane to think that the money that's being made that is generating this overwhelming wealth for the people that were founders there at DraftKings and FanDuel and other betting sites as well, no doubt are generating gigantic profits. And then they're not doing it off the guy that's betting 55,000 to win 50 on the Lions last week. Our
I
good friend.
saw that.
They're making it on the guy that's betting $5, getting $150 in bonus money when he loses that bet, and then goes ahead and proceeds to lose that $5 increments, $5 increments. And how long would it take you then? I mean, you're talking about making 30 bets. 30 bets, and then you're back to even from the first initial deposit that they gave you, the bonus money, and they're still making a fortune off this guy.
Well,
If he keeps doing it,
they're looking at it for the masses. Obviously, they're not looking at it for those individual bigger players. They're looking at the big pool of players out
yeah,
there, and they know in this day and age, there's a lot of smaller players out there than bigger players, obviously. So that's why they offer all these gimmicks and stuff to get people to open accounts and do what they got to do. But there's so many smaller players out there. But when you have so many, thousands and thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions, whatever the case may be. Even those $5 bills, they add up.
don't we know it, man? I mean, and we're seeing it. All right, so you wouldn't go with the Buccaneers over the Giants, Vikings over the Bears, Lions over the Colts, Dolphins over the Patriots, Commanders over the Cowboys, Chiefs over the Panthers, Texans over the Titans, Broncos over the Raiders, and that's where it stops. So what is that, Scotty? I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, an 18 parlay. Money line. What can I expect on that? All of those teams are favored, some by double digits.
Well,
So
I got to be honest with you. On paper, it looks outstanding. I mean, but that's the problem on paper. Once they go down on the field,
look at that hit, 18 parlay. I'm thinking about doing it though for $10.
well, an 18 parlay probably on the money line. Obviously, if you're money lining them, so you've got a lot of odds coming down off, on the
Yes,
normal.
yes.
So what do you think? Probably 20-1, maybe on an 18 parlay. I mean, normally it would be a lot. Obviously, probably be set 7 or 8 times that if you were playing against the point spread. So you're probably looking at a return of 20-1 on your money. I'm just
like that.
throwing a number off the top of my head.
So I could put a stick on this, get back 2,000, and then all I
Hey,
have to
take a
do
shot. Put
is root
$50
in
to win
8
it.
teams. I think I would probably be better off if I went back to an old principle when I was going really badly at the racetrack. I used to think about just driving to the track before they open, putting $200 underneath the gate, and then driving away. and figuring I was going to be saving myself some money. It's like the old thing where a guy asks you for half your money as you're walking in. He says, just give me all your money as you walk into the track, and I'll give you half when you're walking out. And you're going to end up way ahead of the game because if you would have sat there and betted, you would have lost it all. All right, we want to get into some picks, but I do have to pick your brain about. I know you were watching. We were exchanging some texts.
Oh God!
During the fight of the century, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Went kind of as anticipated. We were talking about it a little bit yesterday here on the show where everybody got duped when Ali had that picture, and this must have been a prelude, some thyroid medication he was taking. That was a prelude to Ozempic, and all of a sudden he went from being this bloated, out of shape guy that was borderline Butterbean-ish to being this cut, ripped former version of Ali. And he's fighting Larry Holmes in a couple of days. The picture circulates in the newspapers around the country, and everybody dumps their money in on Ali because they all wanted Father Time to disappear and not be a factor. So he gets his ass, a beating so brutal that the fact that it went on as long as it did was already beyond the scope of anything that you would consider to be humane. And we made a good score on Larry Holmes, getting 6-5 odds in a bout that you couldn't lose. The Jake Paul thing was the same thing, was it not? Where Tyson was clearly out of gas no later than midway through the second 2-minute round. What did you think, Scotty?
I agree with you 1,000%. I mean, you're the expert when it comes to boxing, way more than I could ever be. So no doubt about it. He was winded, like right in the halfway through the second round. He was gone. I mean, basically, he was going like this, going like this. He wasn't even throwing any punches. He was doing nothing basically from that point all the way to the end. I mean, it was a fiasco. I'm not even calling it a fight. I'm not. It wasn't a fight. It was more like, I don't even know what you want to call it, but it was the greatest payday I guess you could get because no one got hurt. He threw maybe 40 punches, so he got about 500,000 a punch. That's what he ended up making off the fight.
That's a work of art, huh? I mean, he was saying after, the thing that's great about me is I could make $20 million for standing in the ring for 16 minutes and not essentially doing anything. So
I mean, it was almost like it was almost like they already knew what they were going to do prior to going into the ring. It was, it was one of those kind of like, it was like Chief Jay Strongbow against,
Sky Low, yeah.
Tanaka, in the old days when they throw salt in their eyes and, stop razor blading them. It was just like, it was, I'm a loss for words because it was such a fiasco. But I knew Jake Paul was going to get the job done. I just had the feeling that it was going to be all about Jake Paul because where was Tyson going even if he won? I mean, even if he wins, he's 59. He's going to be going to 60 years old. Who's he going to be fighting? Where's he going? What's the end game there?
Durant.
Jake Paul's 27 years old. The guy's a mastermind marketer. I mean, look what he's doing. He's putting things together, making millions.
We have to get him to start touting our picks here on Bury Your Bookie and maybe sending a few customers our way. All right, we want to get into some picks. Did you ever see the movie Grudge Match with Stallone and De Niro?
No,
I think the fight scenes in that, which were horrendous, maybe the worst ever in the history of boxing movies and the entire genre. It's not like James Lipton was going to have these guys on Inside the Actors Studio, as big a name as both of them are. But the fight scenes were pathetic, and that was major. That was the thriller in Manila compared to what we saw there with Tyson and Jake Paul. Tyson fights Ruth Roper next. She puts all the money she stole from him in that purse. Tries to wallop him with that.
Right. Ruth Buzzy too.
Ruth Buzzy would have been perfect also.
Right. Ruth Buzzy when she used to have the pocketbook swinging, banging you on the side of the head.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of that would have been gonged if it was the Gong Show.
I think Tyson's claim to fame for that whole thing is when his son interviewed him and he walked away and his ass was showing.
Yes.
that was a little strange right there that they even put that up. I don't know. I've never seen that before.
Might have been the highlight of the show. I think it was with all the technical flaws and the fact that they couldn't keep the telecast going on Netflix.
Unreal.
buffering. Yeah, that was unbelievable. I was waiting for Michael Buffer to step in and make an announcement. All right, let's get to some picks here, Scotty. And where are you going? Are you still stuck with the pigskin? You going to dive in any other areas? What do you have for us this week?
I'm actually going to jump into college football because I got 3 games. I'm going to make it quick because I've done my homework. I always try to do my work for you early in the week. Look at these things, try to get that upper hand and get that winning edge. But first game I'm going with is the biggest game in the Big Ten this whole entire weekend. Number 5 Indiana against number 2 Ohio State. I'm jumping on Indiana, Defo. I'm going to ride that train. I've been off it for a couple of weeks. Good
Wow.
idea that I stayed off it. I'm going to jump back on it. I'm going to take that 10-0 Hoosiers. I'm going to buy that line up to plus 14 from about 13 and a half. I think they stay in this game. I'm looking at some numbers here. Indiana averages 461 yards a game total offense. Ohio State 459 yards per game. 278 yards defense to 269 yards defense. So they're pretty mirror image. Yeah, you could say, well, this one played better teams than this one. But at the end of the day, they're both very strong teams offensively and defensively. Indiana averaging 44 points a game. Yes, I know they scored only 20 against Michigan, but listen, they got to have an off game too. I mean, they've been blowing everybody out, destroying everyone all season. So be it that they had an off game against Michigan, and Ohio State averaging 38 points a game. I like the dog in this game. I think they can stay with them. I think this Indiana team is not getting the respect they should. Obviously, they're moving up the polls. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about from the betting standpoint. I think they stay in this game. I think they can keep it close. And I just see them taking advantage of certain opportunities to keep them in. And I'll take that 14 points and run all day with them.
All right, a couple of touchdowns with Indiana. They were the darling of the degenerate early in the year. As you say, Scotty M jumps off the bandwagon. You have to know when. And
Yeah.
you did it at the right time. They lose a couple of games, so one out, to the point spread anyway.
Yep.
And still, right, they're undefeated at this point, Indiana. So,
I'll take a 10-0 team getting
yeah,
14 points all day long, my friend.
I,
All
I
day
like
long.
I like the thinking, and I love the fact you're willing to take a bushel full of points there from Ryan Day and Ohio State. All right, and what's your second game on the college slate?
I'm going to jump on this matchup. I think this is going to be an old-fashioned, nice little situation. You got UCF on the road playing against West Virginia. West Virginia, they just couldn't stop anyone. I think you, me, and 9 of our best friends would have ran through them last. I mean, they were just terrible against Baylor. They allowed 49 points. I like the UCF team on the road. They're making them a 3.5. That's a respectable number for them to be favorite in West Virginia in this situation. They're 4-16, but they had that bye week. I think that bye is going to help them. They played a really good game the week prior. Yeah, they lost a tough game to Arizona State, 35-31. But they had a shot to win that game. They kind of gave it away late. And I just think that, with all the things going on right now, I didn't like the way that West Virginia defense showed up. I think this UCF offense is very strong, and they could put up 35, 40. This game could be a very high-scoring game as well. It's 63 on the total. I wouldn't be surprised if both these teams would just, go out there and have basically a shootout. But I like UCF. I bring them down to -3. I think they get the job done in this game. That bye week, like I said earlier, I feel is going to help them. I think they're a strong team when they come out and they can put up points. And that defense last week was so terrible for West Virginia. I think UCF takes advantage of it, and they're making them 3 on the road there. I think the line set has got it right here, and I like UCF to win this game by 7 to 10 points.
All right, beautiful. So we have Indiana getting. You're going to buy this thing up to 14 points. I had it at 12 and a hook last time. I checked, which was probably yesterday's news, but it might be floating up even higher.
Yeah.
And UCF laying 3 points on the road against West Virginia. Last one for Scotty M this week.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on Alabama. I think they're playing right now. They made some big changes after having those couple off weeks there. They're playing an Oklahoma team at best. It's just not a good team this year whatsoever. I mean, what an amazing.
Oh, we lost Scotty M there temporarily. Hopefully, he'll pop back in here. There,
That
as
defense.
soon as you mentioned Oklahoma, it was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Oklahoma.
I think Alabama just steamrolls in this game. I take them down to 13 points against Oklahoma. They're averaging 451 yards on offense They're 100 more yards averaging more on offense than Oklahoma. They're better on both sides of the ball. They're averaging 39 points a game. The other side, Oklahoma's only averaging 25 points a game. There's 14 right there. They're defensively more sound than Oklahoma. I think that Alabama wants to start pushing their way. This is the time of year you see the good teams want to keep rolling and pushing it, obviously their value going up the polls. I think this is a perfect spot for Alabama to have a 21, 24-point win playing against a team like Oklahoma to, get them moving up the charts towards the playoff situation. So I like Alabama. I'd lay that 13 points all day long. I think they blow out Oklahoma. I don't see them staying on the same field with them.
Some people even sensing there's a shot they could win it all this year, Alabama, that it's not out of the question. All right, people want to follow your selections. You've been doing this a long, long time, Scotty M, in spite of your youthful look. It must have started when you were an embryo, reading Bill James' a baseball abstract and coming up with numerology. But how do people find you?
It's real easy, guys. All you have to do is check me out on Instagram. Just go to my official Instagram page. You can even DM me, send me some comments. If you're looking for even private service that we put out, we've been red hot. We've been doing some really good winning in the NBA. We've been doing some nice winning in college basketball. We'll get more into it next week. I'll have some basketball stuff going on. But if you guys want to check out anything we're doing sports related, try to give you that winning edge like I always try to do, looking for the best value and the best numbers. Just come to my official Instagram page. It's SM Sports Picks, Picks. That's it, guys. Check it out. We put out free stuff all the time. We've been on a heater. I think we're like 7-2 in our last 9 free picks. And I've been up on social media for almost 7 years, hitting over 61% on all the videos I put up, and there's thousands of them since day one.
All right. Excellent stuff as always, Scotty M. Always a pleasure, my friend. You have a great week. We'll talk to you again here on Bury Your Bookie next week. Thanks so much for being with us.
Defo, always a pleasure to be with you, my man. Take care.
All right. Maybe we can find a way to make $60 million and split it for standing in the ring there and doing nothing. That'd be awesome. You have to congratulate anybody that at least was in a position to make that happen. And we all bought it because I think America and the rest of the world right now, I think it's been proven we're easily duped. All right, hopefully you won't be duped by your bookmaker. You'll come out with a profit. Scotty M with 3 college football games. He likes Indiana, the underdog, in the Ohio State game, getting somewhere around 2 touchdowns possibly. UCF laying 3 against West Virginia. Alabama, I have them laying 14 against Oklahoma, although, as I said, that probably is an old line. It might have gone down a little bit, but Alabama all of a sudden being mentioned. The whispers are out there. Hey, maybe they can do it. Milrow's been there before, reason to believe. Coming on now after a couple of losses somewhere in the mid-season. And, the losses, you could excuse them away, right? But nonetheless, in a year like this, where nobody has demonstrated such supremacy, such superiority that you can already concede them the national championship. All right, we'll see you next time. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll have Troy West with us. He's coming off a nice 2-in-1 week, as he's been consistent all year long in that fashion. So looking forward to talking to Troy West tomorrow on the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.